The United Nations has issued a grave warning about the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza amid Israel's total ban on aid entry into the besieged territory. The UN Corridor for Humanitarian Affairs in Gaza says more than 60,000 children under the age of 5 are suffering from malnutrition. The official noted that the flow of aid into Gaza has stopped since mid-March, as Israel has not permitted the entry since that time. The UN official added that humanitarian workers are facing severe shortages of equipment, while fuel supplies required to run Gaza's hospitals have been completely depleted. The remarks echoed an earlier warning by the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. UNRWA said all essential supplies in Gaza are nearly depleted, and even infants are going to bed hungry. He said 6 weeks of total blockade by Israel have caused Gaza food stocks to become nearly exhausted. UNRWA called for immediate international action to prevent further worsening of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Now let's go to the Gaza crisis, where we have Mr. Jim Kavanagh with us, political analyst and blogger from New York. Mr. Kavanagh, it's good to see you again. Mr. Kavanagh, the entry of aid into Gaza, including water, the Israeli regime is denying that. And also I read that a U.S. official said even block the entry of flour into Gaza, and this is while children are dying from malnutrition. And let's not forget that diseases as well, like cholera and polio as well. Mr. Kavanagh, land grab at what expense? Sorry, Mr. Kavanagh, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Go ahead, Mr. Kavanagh.
There's no expense that's going to be spared by Israel in destroying the lives of the Gazan people. I mean, look, this is they're telling the Gazan people, and they're telling the world, you have no place to live, you have no food to eat, you have no medicines, you have no anesthesia, your children, we're going to kill you and kill you and kill you incessantly until you leave. And that's what the Israelis want to do. That's what they're going to succeed in doing if nobody stops them. You know, the UN framework at this point is, we've got to understand the United States will block anything that prevents Israel from doing what it wants. There's only one procedure in the UN that could be used, and that's I think it's called the Uniting for Peace resolution, which would require calling an emergency session of the General Assembly, which would be stating that the Security Council is not meeting its obligations to prevent what is a massive war crime of genocide, and would authorize or recommend action by other countries. But those countries would have to use that authorization. They'd have to use military force against Israel and the United States to force humanitarian aid in. Israel is not going to let anything in. They're deliberately starving the Palestinians and destroying the possibility of life in Gaza. And they're going to give the Palestinians an exit. They're going to get some countries, they're going to bribe some countries to accept Palestinians for leaving Gaza. And they'll say it's voluntary immigration. And you know, Palestinian families in Gaza whose children are being killed and who, given a possibility of leaving and saving their children's lives, some of them will do it, no matter how brave they are. They're the bravest people in the world. And they're the fiercest, most courageous people in the world. But, you know, look at the situation. And once they get 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people leaving Gaza, others will follow. What are the Palestinian resistance groups going to do? Shoot them if they try to leave? I mean, this is an impossible situation, and it's going to require some intervention, military intervention by some forces, some countries, Arab or non-Arab or Islamic or non-Islamic, and they have to make up their minds. Egypt, Turkey, Iran, Russia, China, they have to make up their minds whether they're going to sit back and watch this happen, or they're going to defy the United States and Israel, both of them, and risk what will be a military confrontation with Israel, which will use nuclear weapons against any country in the world that tries to effectively stop it. That's what those weapons are for. They're not to use against the Palestinians. They were used to intimidate other countries from intervening on behalf of the Palestinians. this is the situation we're in. I'm afraid, look, a year from now, year and a half from now, there'll either be no Palestinians in Gaza or Israel will have been defeated. And it's going to be one or the other. And it's horrible to watch this happen. This is a slaughter. This is the worst crime against humanity seen in my lifetime. And all of us, that's the case. And it's going to continue until someone stops it. And the UN cannot stop it by itself. It may be able to pass through that Uniting for Peace resolution some kind of call on other countries to do something about it, but they're going to have to do it. And they're going to run into military resistance from the United States, and not just Israel, but Israel and the United States. And it's a horrible thing. We're seeing the end of Gaza unless someone intervenes militarily with force.
And also, Mr. Kavanagh, do you think as well, like the Palestinians do, some Arab and Muslim countries have stabbed them in the back? Some even are helping the regime right now.
No kidding. I mean, they are all, except for Yemen and Iran, they've sold themselves out to Israel and to Zionism, and they are stabbing the Palestinians in the back. There's no question about it. And everyone who signed the Abraham Accords, from Morocco to the UAE, and everyone who's enabling. I mean, Turkey is still enabling the shipment of oil to Israel. They have made their peace with Israel. They decided that the Palestinians weren't as important to them as good relations with the United States and Israel. Now there's a tremendous amount of pressure now in the street, and there needs to be more of it. And I suspect and frankly hope that there will be political crises for these regimes. But Egypt has to decide what it's doing. It's amassing all kinds of troops at the border, and it's making all kinds of noises, but it's sold out. And it's either going to reverse that, which is going to cost it in terms of money. It's going to cost it. Either Egypt has a military, Turkey has a military, Saudi Arabia has American airplanes. They're never going to use them. But I'm saying there are military forces in the region that could cost Iran. Iran has to decide what it's going to do. The question is, which Arab and Muslim countries, which not only Arab and Muslim countries, but which particularly Arab and Muslim countries, but which other countries in the world are going to risk confrontation, all-out war with the United States and Israel in order to save the Palestinians? And I'm afraid that almost every country, I don't see a country that I think is likely to say, we will risk, this country will, except for Yemen, and maybe Iran, but they haven't decided yet, to be frank, we will risk being nuked in order to save the Palestinians. And that's a tough call. I can't blame any country. I mean, to a certain extent, I can understand why any country won't do that. Every country would avoid doing that. But then they have on themselves the responsibility for having agreed to sit back and watch the Palestinians be slaughtered and expelled from Gaza.
That's right, Mr. Kavanagh. Some Palestinians are saying, at least don't help them. If you're not helping us, at least don't help the regime. There you have it, Mr. Jim Kavanagh, political analyst and blogger from New York. Mr. Kavanagh, it's always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you for your time.